Good morning. How's it going, everybody? Good morning. Sorry for the technical delays. We had some issues, but that's why we have to be flexible in this industry, and especially with virtual events. Welcome to Sow the Land 2024. I am your host and National Director of Hemp Farming and Technology. If you're new to our show, Sow the Land is primarily a hemp-based organization or platform, but we've seen now that the crossover and bridge between hemp and cannabis make them relative to each other. So some general rules of housekeeping. Feel free to share this video on any of the platforms. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and I want to say LinkedIn. All episodes are saved and will be uploaded to our M4MM platform within the following week. So some quick announcements. Last time you heard from us, we were headed out to MJ BizCon. MJ Biz 2023 was again another success. We have noticed a significant shift in the industry. One of the primary things that I noticed was the way they broke the conference down. Retail and accessories on one side, and pretty much cultivation was on the opposite exhibit hall. And I think that really broke it down for a lot of people to simplify what they were trying to do out there. Want to send a big M for MM shout out to my good colleague and friend, Mr. Antoine Mordican from Native Black Cultivation. Antoine has won one of the first cultivation licenses for medical cannabis in Alabama. So again, be sure to follow Antoine Mordican and Native Black Cultivations and Native Black Farms because they've put the work in. So they've gone through the process. We've been following, we've been supporting. So big things are coming out of Alabama. Also, I know 2023 is over, but voting is now open for the 2023 Diversity and Inclusion Champions. If you go to our website, there is a link to take you to this form. So if you know of persons, organizations, businesses that you would like to nominate for the diversity and inclusion, please go on there. Some of the brands that you want to support may already be on the list. So definitely help us continue to highlight and acknowledge those who have been doing the work by voting in our diversity and inclusion platform. Last week, we had our M4MM members meeting, the first of the year, and it was called Pearls of Wisdom. And what we did was brought on a lot of our program directors, some of our organization leaders, and we really just wanted to kick the year off by providing attendees and viewers some valuable information. We know that when you see conferences, you see, TikToks and Reels, a lot of people try to make the cannabis industry look like it's all fun, game, mixers, after parties, and pre-rolls, but it's not. And a lot of times, the pitfalls or the shortcomings that you've had, I guarantee there's somebody else that's going through the same thing. And so we really want to just use our experience based in this industry and working to really give people some pointers and maybe a little bit of encouragement. Another update is THC has been removed from the banned substances list by the UFC. So for those who aren't familiar with the UFC is the Ultimate Fighting Championship, which is MMA or mixed martial arts. It is one of my favorite sports to watch, but they have officially removed THC from their list of banned substances. This is big. There's a lot of organizations, a lot of entities that went into this. But as always, I got to send a big shout out to the crew over at High Rollers Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the first cannabis-infused jiu-jitsu platform, as well as the team over at Nate Diaz's camp. Nate and Nick Diaz, they've been martyrs for cannabis in sports for about 15 years, maybe a little longer. So that's definitely a step forward in the right position because I'd like to see a lot more leagues take this stance. Next, I know we had the episode about the Iconoclast Acre for Change program. We thank you for being patient, but we are preparing at the end of this month with a meeting as we prepare to launch this program. So we will be sending out updates for those who are in the qualifying program states. So be prepared. We're going to grow some hemp this year. We're going to provide farmers who've been disproportionately affected in the agriculture industry with the opportunity, the network, and the resources to really be successful. A couple of more items. President Biden recently granted some pardons for cannabis convictions. This did not mean that everyone across the nation who has a cannabis conviction, your record's been clear. These were for individuals that had federal marijuana charges. So as we know, state and federal are different. So that's a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it's not enough. But because we have people sitting in jail right now for the plant that we're about to talk about. And lastly, I want to give you an update on our upcoming conference and event schedules. There is a lot of events coming up this spring, summer, and this fall. What we like to do is put those out there in our newsletter. We upload those documents to let you know what's when and where. We've got NOCO coming up in Colorado. Saturday let me know about SLIFT. San Francisco is coming up. NECAN, Northeastern Cannabis, is going to be in Massachusetts on March 22nd and 23rd. We also have Benzinga coming up this spring, and all this is leading into our National Lobby Days. Our National Lobby Days are some of the most important days that we have here as an organization. What we do at Lobby Days, it allows people to activate their advocacy. We fly the team up to Washington, D.C. Some people drive, and we actually sit down and we meet with legislators. We meet with stakeholders. We meet with policymakers to make sure that we have a seat at the table and that we're voicing our comments, questions, and concerns as a minority-based organization looking out here to do the Lord's work. So with that, I'm going to get into our episode. So today I took a little detour. So everybody's always talking about cannabis, hemp, cannabis. You know, one person wants to grow one, they don't want to do the other. Well, I was in Las Vegas, and I had the amazing opportunity to meet an amazing professional who we're bringing on today, Ms. Monique Robinson. I'm going to give you a little information about Ms. Monique and her background. Monique Robinson is the proud co-owner and visionary behind Kemistry Farms. She was born and raised in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, where her love for science blossomed at an early age. It was during those formative years that she cultivated a profound fascination for the intricate world of molecular structures and chemical reactions. Monique's educational journey began at Langston University, where she earned a bachelor's of science degree in chemistry in 2007. This educational foundation laid the cornerstone of her career and led her to where she is today. Throughout her professional journey, she has had the privilege of working as an analytical chemist and microbiologist. Her roles that honed her analytical skills, attention to detail, and profound appreciation for the importance of scientific rigor. These experiences not only deepened her understanding of the complexities of plant biology, but it also instilled in her the values of precision, quality control, and innovation. She has had the opportunity to work in various industries, but it was her unwavering passion for the cannabis plant and its healing properties that ultimately set her on her current path. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Miss Monique Robinson.
Hello, Stanley. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being on the show.
Thank you for coming on. I know that this industry is moving so fast. There's a lot going on. And I read your bio, but just give us a couple of minutes and just tell us some of the things that we may not have covered in your bio that you'd like attendees and viewers to know about you.
Well, like you said, I was born and raised in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. I'm the youngest of three. I've always had an interest in science and, combining things and seeing how everything works. I went on to go to Langston University. I graduated in 2007 with a bachelor's of science in chemistry. I went on to be an assistant chemist at first. I was a microbiologist, like you stated, and an analytical chemist. And I was just, my whole career was focused around quality control and quality assurance. And so naturally, just being in the cannabis space is something that, it just comes a little bit natural to me and something that I love to do.
So what you're saying is you have a passion for science.
Yeah. I've always had a passion for science. Thinking back to when I was a kid, I was always outside mixing something, trying to create something, trying to do something in the world of science. So it's just always been instilled in me, and it's just naturally who I am.
Well, The science is one of my favorite things about the industry. I am a big nerd. And, back when we were growing up, nerds were frowned on and picked upon. But now nerds are the people really pushing this industry forward. And, you had your background coming in college. You learned about science, quality control, education. So you're in cannabis. You're in Oklahoma, because I've never been to Oklahoma. I plan to come out there this year. I'd love to come pay you a visit. But what were some of the initial challenges that you faced when starting this, and how did you overcome them to get your farm actually up and operational?
Well, initially coming into this, we didn't begin on a farm. We actually began in this warehouse where I'm sitting at right now. I had partnered up with one of my cousins, and we got to talking. I found out he was growing for years, before it was actually legal. And I knew the whole quality side of things. So we ended up partnering up together and getting this warehouse here, which is about 2,500 square feet. And we done a build out in this warehouse. So it's probably approximately about 3,500, 4,000 square feet that we have to grow out here. But then about a year or two after we started, I spoke with some family who had some land, and they basically let me grow out there. So we actually have two grows. So the farm that you're talking about is actually the second grow that we do have. And that right now is still challenging. The rules and regulations are changing, every day it seems like. And so right now the farm is actually at a halt because of that, because of the certificate of occupancy that we're waiting on. In the beginning, just for this space right here, the only challenge that we technically had was finding a location. Whenever we was going around trying to get a location, once people found out that we were trying to get into the space of cannabis, they was either shutting us down, or, those prices went up about, 4 times the original price. So that was basically the most challenging thing in the beginning.
So what you're saying is, you mean to tell me that you had an idea, you found a location, you asked what is the rate for, month, 6 months, a year, and they're like, oh, it's X amount. What do you plan on doing? Oh, I want to open a cannabis cultivation facility. Well, the old price
Exactly.
is not the new price, because when you said you were going to be making baskets, yeah, we were cool at 3,200 a month. But now that you're going to be growing cannabis, yeah, the least we could do is 5,500 a month. There's extra paperwork we have to do. We have to inform our accountant. Red tape.
Exactly. Yes,
I'm very familiar
exactly.
with this red tape. And you learn something, that cannabis, hemp, all of these are a real estate industry. And what I mean by that is, you have to have somewhere to plant it. You have to have somewhere to cultivate it. You have to have somewhere to harvest it, trim it, package it. And after that, you have to have somewhere to store it. All of that has to
Right.
be done in a place. So if you're really looking at getting to this industry, always remind yourself that cannabis, hemp, it is a real estate industry, because you have to have a place to do it.
Yeah,
So
you're definitely right about that one.
So it was difficult getting in. Like you said, you have to get your certificate of occupancy, and that comes from the fire department. Am I correct?
Exactly. And where I'm from, where the farm is located, we're actually in an incorporated area. So technically, when you go to building stuff, there's some things you can get away with. But
Mm-hmm.
since we are in a cannabis space, you definitely have to go through the fire marshal, and we can't even go through our local fire department. We have to wait for the state fire marshal to come out and do their thing. So, and they're backed up. So I have no idea when they're going to actually be able to come out and, check our place out. So that's one of
Okay.
the things we're dealing with right now.
Wow. Whoever knew? I spent 7.5 years as a firefighter paramedic here in Metro Atlanta, and I had no idea that it was a real estate. I didn't think that the last person who get to say so would be a firefighter, someone of that nature. So that's really cool, and you're learning it. These are things that you didn't know ahead of it. These are things that you had to learn on the fly, and unfortunately, these are things you had to learn through time, frustration, and money. So I hear
Exactly.
you have a passion for science. You have a passion for chemistry, molecular biology. But what sparked the passion for cannabis, especially? And was there a particular moment where you were like, "Aha! I want to grow marijuana"? What happened to really light that fire for you?
Well, what did it for me was my great aunt. Whenever I was working as an analytical chemist here for a major chemical company, I was also taking care of my great aunt who had a wealth of health issues, and one of those things she had was diabetes. So she
Mm.
suffered from diabetic nerve pain. So in the morning, she would have trouble getting up. It would hurt just for her to, get up out of the bed. She was in pain. And around that time, I was speaking with my mom. My mom had a coworker who was actually selling someone else's CBD products. And it was around the same time I kept on hearing buzz that Oklahoma was about to start allowing people to grow cannabis. And so I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get into this space, but I know I want to be in this space. My
Hmm.
initial thought was getting into the space on the chemistry side of things. And so I linked up with my mom's coworker, Mrs. Calvert. She introduced me to the CBD products and I started selling them. And so I started using those products on myself. I saw how they were working for me and I started using them on my great aunt. So I would rub her legs down, I would rub her feet down, her bottom of her feet down, and everything. And within about 10 minutes, she was able to get up out of bed and do what she needed to do. And so that's what really sparked me to get into the cannabis industry because I seen the power, the healing powers that it actually have. And I've just never been a big person when it comes to pharmaceuticals. I'm not a pill popper. I'd rather go to sleep than take a pill. And so just me taking care of my aunt is what really got me into the industry.
Oh, wow. Well, I want to thank you for your compassion because that is what started this industry on the medical side. So having compassion for others, the willingness to help others. Me and you've talked about this. I have some similar stories to where sometimes you may have to just take a jar of some topical and go around and smear it on some family members. You may have to go around and rub it on some ankles, some gout, some diabetic nerve pain. So
Right. Yeah.
once you got set up, you got your warehouse, you got your location where you're growing. How did the local community respond to where you are?
It's mixed. Oklahoma is the buckle of the Bible Belt, and you have some people who is all for it, old and young, but then there's still that stigma behind it. There's still a lot of people who are not knowledgeable about what cannabis can actually do for you. And
Hmm.
so it's just mixed. It's like 50-50. Some people love it, some people hate it. It just depends on who you're talking to.
I think one thing that works in your favor is that whether they love it or they hate it, you guys pass legislation, so it's there. So
Exactly.
you can grow or grow with it or grow without it. Either way, it's going to grow around you. So I'm a connoisseur
Exactly.
myself. I am a patient. I know the strains that work for me for the conditions that I suffer from. But for you, outside of work, at the end of the day, your audits are done, inventory is done, quality assurance is over. You just finished your state inspection. What is your favorite strain for personal use? And what's your favorite strain to cultivate?
See, I just had my inspection the other day, so I definitely had to go home and decompress. My favorite strain is because I typically, even whenever I leave here, I still have work to do. So,
Hmm.
if it's still daylight outside, I still prefer a sativa. My go-to sativa is KJ13, which is a
Okay.
really good one. It gets you up off the couch going, and you just time passes you by whenever you're on that and you're getting things done. Whenever I'm trying to go to sleep, I like to smoke like slurricane is a good one. Anything that's a heavy indica. And now, as far as growing, like I don't have a favorite strain to grow. Like I like to grow it all. My favorite part of the growing cannabis is the flowering stage, and there you get to see the bud structure. You get to see how the colors are changing and things of that nature. So I'll grow any cannabis. Like there's no favorite strain thus far. I might come across one, but for now I don't have one.
Okay. Well, that keeps you very fluid. So, there are a lot of cultivators that have the strains that they like to grow. And many of them don't deviate. Y'all can come out with all the new names and strains you want. I'm doing these same three that I've been doing since 1997. So,
Yeah, and I'm not mad at it. You got to perfect one. You got to perfect what you know.
and that's one thing that I despise the most. A lot of cultivators, a lot of breeders, they'll come out with a strain They'll work on it. They'll dial those genetics in. Then they'll release it. And then once you're like, oh my God, I love this. You go back a while later. It's like, hey, y'all still got them on the way up there? And they're like, oh, we stopped carrying. You get to the dispensary and it's like, hey, I'm looking for B and C. Oh, we stopped carrying that 4 months ago. And it's like,
Right, yeah. Now there is one strain that we did grow like that. I still get people that talk about it. If they see me and they know I was the one who helped grow it, they'll still mention it, like, oh, that was my favorite. When are you guys going to have it? But we don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But we was growing some hash with our first harvest, which was really, really good. It was a great sleeper. And people are just like, oh, I love that. When are you guys going to get it back? And I'm like, I don't even know where it's at. I don't know.
Some of the best flower I've ever had was some privately cultivated Chem Dog 41, like about almost 10 years ago. And I do like that slurricane. That slurricane is pretty good. So I'm a GDP type of guy. I do need things for inflammation and the sedative effects. So that leads me to our next question. I know we've talked about some of the pitfalls, some of the difficulties that it took to get into this industry, but what are some of the most rewarding aspects of being an owner operator of a cannabis business as a Black female?
Man, just seeing the flowers grow, I'm excited about that. Just seeing the finished product, seeing what we've actually, created from start to finish. Like, I love seeing the growth of it. I love seeing the changes that go, through every phase of the process. So I just love all of it, and I've always been the type of person who needed to be an entrepreneur, so and it's not easy, it's definitely more easy to work for someone, I would say that, but I've always had that about me. I've always needed to work for myself, and so everything about it, I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Okay, I love to hear that because those are those things that it's that type of reward that money can't buy. It can't be fractionalized to a piece of paper. It doesn't fit on a spreadsheet, and that really takes me to the next one. So you say that some of the community in your area were receptive. Some others were kind of, raising those eyebrows and clutching those pearls. But community engagement, as Minorities for Medical Marijuana, community engagement are some of the key factors in which our organization stand on. So how do you engage with the local community? Are there any events that you do to, any stories, or do you bring people to your facility, or do you go out to the community?
Right now, actually, we haven't actually been doing any community engagement, unfortunately, but 2024 is the year for that. Our plan is to team up with different people to start getting the community more involved and do more patient awareness around it. We actually linked up with a Black film studio out of Oklahoma City called Notice Studios. They came up with a film called Neurosis. It's basically about mental health in Black men. It's supposed to premiere February 2nd. And so I will be teaming up with them to do more things around mental health, to do more patient awareness drives, because as I was passing out a CBD cream, that I formulated, and I was going out to in certain areas just passing out the cream, there was a lot of people who just didn't know about it. Like, I had to inform a lot of people that they were not going to fail their drug tests by using a cream, and all of that. So 2024, we're definitely linking up. You will see us in the community more with the cream that I did formulate. Some of those proceeds will be going back to different organizations. And so you'll definitely see Kemistry Farms out there for sure.
You have my full support. If it's anything that I can do to help increase your visibility or your community engagement efforts, I'm always a phone call, a text, a DM away. Even if it's just me making a video to send out, like, hey, if you support me, then I need you to support Monique. So we've talked about community engagement. We've talked about, what's passionate about you. I'm the National Director of Hemp Farming and Technology. Hemp expands into so many different areas of this industry, and it's only crossing over to the cannabis. We're seeing more overlapping with people looking for THCA flower. There's a lot of people that are like, hey, I don't even want to stay on the THC side anymore. I'm going to the Delta 8 THC side.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts on the cultivation of industrial hemp in potentially doing some research with future ventures or different projects?
Well, initially, before we even got our cannabis license, they had a hemp program out here, a pilot program. And in order to be a part of that program, you had to be associated with a university. And so before we even got our license, that was my goal. I was trying to get on the hemp side of things, actually. So I went back to Langston University, talked to some of my old professors to see how I could, basically get with them to grow the hemp. But as soon as I was talking to them about it, to start growing hemp, they opened up the state for medical marijuana. So we just went on the medical marijuana side. But it's definitely something I'm interested in. Like I said, the farm is located on some family land. There's over 100 something acres out there. And so if we could cultivate some hemp out there and do something with it, that would be great, because I know hemp can be used for anything, just like cannabis can, from your clothes to cars to plastic to cement. And so I would love to get into that space and do more things on the science side of things, for sure. I would love to get into it on, the pharmaceutical side of things, on the construction side of things with hempcrete and things of that nature, for sure.
Well, who's to say we can't potentially put together a hemp pilot program?
I mean, I heard about it, I've heard about it. I'm waiting.
So we have a meeting on the 31st, and that's the reason I brought that up, because Oklahoma.
Okay, that's my birthday.
So Oklahoma is one of our qualifying states, and this program is specifically designed for people like you, people from your background, people who look like you, people who've experienced what you've experienced. So that's why I asked you that, because I'm going to do everything in my hand to put you in the right places with the right people to get the right research development to take your brand to the next level.
I appreciate that, for sure.
And so I got a question about Oklahoma, because I know I've visited a lot of different cities, a lot of different markets. We met in Las Vegas, but what is the cannabis culture in Oklahoma? Because when I say cannabis culture, the East Coast has their culture. The dirty South, we have our culture. The West Coast has its own culture, and even up north. But what is like the cannabis culture like in Oklahoma? And is there anything that you're doing to try to help grow the culture? And where do you see it coming and see it going in following years?
Right now, I have no idea. I can't even tell you what the Oklahoma culture is, just because it's just still like the Wild Wild West out here. Okay, everyone is still just trying to figure everything out, and just culture. It's crazy. But I am in the future, like in 2024, our focus is community. Our focus is product building, and also just patient awareness. And so I am kind of trying to steer the culture more so to usage for health reasons, and not just to get high, or not just to party. And so that's if I was to steer anything in a direction, that's the direction that I would want to steer it in.
Again, ding, ding, ding. Like I almost watched wrestling growing up. I used to watch WWE with Stone Cold and all the guys and stuff. Yeah. So when I'm hearing these things about community engagement, the medical aspect of educating the public, educating consumers, I'm like leaning over the rope, like, tag me in. So just tag me in, and because there's no sense in us having to reinvent the wheel in this.
Right.
With the cannabis and hemp industry, a lot of people, when they try to start something, they have a vision, they come up with a plan, and they start to execute. What they don't realize is oftentimes the foundational blocks that you're having to reinvent them. Don't do that. Find somebody who's already doing it. So I tell people, when it comes to reinventing the wheel, we don't have to do that in this industry. But what we can do is you can balance and rotate the tires. You can get in alignment. You can, that'll help that wheel to run more efficiently, because with what you're good at, we don't need you trying to create something that already been done. We need you being great at what you're best at. And so that's where it comes to the dynamics of having a team, an organization, and support around you. So I know that running a often involves teamwork because you're only one person. What's the dynamic with the team and the family that you have around you? What's the dynamic of that? Have there been any memorable moments or inside jokes or like things that y'all had happen that it probably wasn't funny when it happened, but now you can look back and like, oh yeah, they're gonna laugh about this forever.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of stuff, inside jokes that we laugh about, especially out on the farm, because just me, like I grew up in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. I call it like the ghetto country type of situation. Like we still country, but I didn't grow up on a farm. And so when it comes to all the bugs and creatures that's out there, like I've had some mishaps. Other people didn't have some mishaps and things of that nature with the snakes and everything else out there. So yeah, there's definitely been some funny moments for sure.
But to me, that's what gives people like yourself so much more credibility. They are what we call boots on the ground. I'm ex-military, so I was enlisted. I wasn't an officer. I wasn't a pilot. I was what you would call a grunt. And boots on the ground is the most important aspect of anything. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I could tell it just triggered some sweat and some gnats and some mosquitoes in your head. Because you don't know until you get out on a farm that it's not just putting plants in a hole and watering them. You have to know, hey, what about, do I have aphids? Do I have parasites? Do I have pests? It's a lot that goes into it. But also one of the farms that we went to visit, it was during the pandemic. It was very funny because some of the people that went with us, when you looked at all of us, our attire, some people look like they're headed to go walk through a farm, and some people look like they headed out to brunch. I got little kitten heels. It was funny because when we got down there, within about 10 minutes, they coming out those shoes, they tying their hair up, they throwing on a t-shirt, and it was like it's so hot. And we learned really quickly that in South Georgia, if you're going to visit a remote farm that's off a dirt road, do not wear body spray. Do not put extra edge control and gel that smells sweet because you will have a swarm of gnats around your head. You got more gnats around your head than the cows got on them.
Exactly. Yeah, my sister always try to get on to me about my appearance, but I'm like, girl, like I'm going to the farm. Like my hair needs to be wrapped all the way up, some sweats, long sleeves. I might be looking crazy with layers, but we're definitely out in the middle of nowhere off of a dirt road. And before we start farming, no one was doing anything out there. So you can only imagine all of the nature that's truly was out there and that we're still kind of combating from the spaces that we're utilizing out there. So it definitely is a task. And you cannot wear no heels. Don't be trying to look cute. It's not a cute industry at all.
I'll tell you, one of the funnier trips we took, it was a large group that we went. It was probably about maybe 20 of us that went and toured a farm. As soon as we got, I know what we're going into. I go out in the field to a lot of farms, a lot of cultivation sites or proposed cultivation sites with my consulting and with tours and things of that nature. And when we got out there, I'm like, all right, we stopped at the gas station before we got on that dirt road. Once you hit that dirt road, it's a wrap. You're going off the road, you can hear the rocks hitting your car, so you worry about the finish on your car. Don't even come down this road
at all.
The moment we got out, get out the van, we're walking around, and some of the people are like, hey, we're ready to eat, we're hungry. There's some trips or moms, as soon as you get to the remote location, they're like, hey, we're thirsty. Oh, I use the bathroom. Like, the closest facility is 25 gas station, 25 minutes away down that same dirt road. So I really commend you for not only having the courage to start this, but taking that vision, but continuing to see it through. Because it's not as much about starting, it's about continuing. And I want to commend you as a female, as a woman, as a Black woman in this industry. You're overcoming hurdles that a lot of women are afraid to even approach. And I hope that we can take some of the content from this and continue to splice it, cut it up, share it, because you never know who your experience, your passion is going to inspire. And it's all about the next generation, because that look that you got in your eyes right now, that passion that you have, if we could take that same passion and instill that into the next generation of science students, the next generation of biology, molecular science students, because the rest is research. There are, when it comes to cannabis and hemp cultivation, are you familiar with tissue cultures?
I am.
So I tell people, where many were thinking about, oh, I just need a bunch of seeds. And it's like, okay, if you have the right lab environment, start with tissue cultures. You can start with a piece
Right.
of a piece in this little tube, in this little petri dish, and it'll actually grow an entire plant. But also
Right. Yeah.
those companion plants. So with your plants, do you do any companion plants, like plants that coincide with cannabis or things that will help it? Some plants help each other. Are there any
Right.
companion that you use so far?
We have not, but that is something that I will start experimenting with this year. We're actually going to get the farm up and going there. We're going to get a garden going and experiment with different things out there. So my plan is to start using some companion plants to see how they can help us with these spider mites. If we grow outdoors, if it can help, with the flies and all of that. So yeah, that's something that I definitely am passionate about, experimenting more with how we grow and how we can make things better for sure.
And those troubleshooting your systems only happens on the fly. I know a
Hmm.
group who they were out west and they were having wildlife eating their leaves. They had all types of elk and deer looking things that walk on four legs. And so they were getting frustrated because it was getting to where it was actually affecting the crop. They're making their way through it. And so what they did was they found out that certain animals don't like the smell of other animals. They would go, and there's blogs and articles written about this. So what they would do is find your local pet groomer or animal shearer, a person who grooms dogs. Go to them and say, hey, can I have some of your shaved off dog hair? And people are like, what? We throw it in the trash. Sure, you can have all you want. We shave some German Shepherd, some Pit Bull, whatever the case may be. They take that dog hair, put it into bundles, and put twine, string, duct tape around it to make little bundles. And then tape those little bundles of dog hair, of animal hair all along the perimeter. When those animals would come and they start smelling, they smell German Shepherd, they smell Cocker Spaniel, they smell Labrador. They
Right.
don't see them, but oftentimes it deters them. It's not a permanent deterrent, but it's something in your arsenal. And when it comes to dealing with those aphids, keep everything natural as possible. We have people that make their own solvents using dish soap and things of that nature, and also ladybugs. I tell growers, don't kill the ladybugs. You need
Yeah, we
those.
use thousands and thousands of ladybugs in praying mantises, and
Praying.
I've never heard of the dog hair. But I'm gonna look into that for sure. But I have heard of, other animals not liking the other animals, and I know we have a bad snake problem, so they don't like cayenne pepper and stuff like that. So you can put that in water and spray it around your perimeter and things of that nature. And so I'm definitely looking. We'll definitely be utilizing some of those techniques this year.
Because I'm not afraid of snakes. I just don't like them. What kind of snakes y'all
Mm.
have in Oklahoma?
Uh, what did I see? We have those diamondback rattlesnakes, water moccasins. We have stuff that bite and that's poisonous. We have rattlesnakes. I almost stepped on a baby rattlesnake. We have scorpions. We have a lot of scorpions out there, and we have
So,
a whole lot of other bugs. I don't even know. I don't know what they are.
as a southern country boy, we always think the South is the most dangerous place. No, apparently the prairies of Oklahoma, you can get your ankle bitten off by a rattlesnake.
Yeah, but see, I consider Oklahoma the South. Don't be calling us Midwest or none of that. We're still the South, okay? We
It's
we still
South-ish.
belong down there.
Well, I've heard y'all had good barbecue out there. I don't eat meat, but I've heard y'all have some decent barbecue out there. We can cook in the South.
It's some good barbecue here.
Okay. Well, I'm
It's
gonna come
better.
up there
It's
this
better
year.
than that Kansas City barbecue. Don't nobody come
I've
for
never,
me. But
I've
it's
never had Kansas City barbecue, but I've heard the arguments. St. Louis, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, like everybody thinks they have the best barbecue. I cannot confirm nor deny. I just know that in the South we know how to cook. So we're getting close to the end here. And there is something that I always like to ask from our attendees because you took the time out of your valuable day. You could be anywhere in the world, but you came here with me, Stanley, today. And I'm sorry that we had some technical difficulties that prevented us from going live earlier. And I was messaging Sat and found out that normally this platform streams it live on multiple platforms, but apparently right now it's only on LinkedIn and YouTube. So it looks like all the questions are going to be coming later because normally people watch live, you see all the questions popping up. but we're going to be able to save this. But this is what I want to ask from you. As an entrepreneur, as a thought leader, and as a person who has dedicated their time, their passion, their education to this industry, what is some advice that you have for an aspiring farmer? So say for those who watch this or may watch this later, what are some things that you would say to those who have the dream of starting their own cannabis farm? And based on your experience so far, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give is make sure you have a solid plan. I know too many people who like to start things and they don't plan anything. They just think, oh, I'm gonna just go out and do it. No, make sure you have a solid plan. Make sure you know the direction you are wanting to go. And make sure that you have a solid team behind you, even if it's just you and one other person. Just make sure that you and that person is on the same page, that y'all know what your role is, and that everyone is going to be willing to execute their role efficiently and effectively, for sure. But definitely have your plan in place, write everything down, write what hope that things, how you hope things are going to go, write down, some of the things that you think may, go sideways, where that you'll have to take care of. And just make sure you just stay with the plan. And sometimes you have to deviate from the plan. And so make sure you're adept at adapting, because sometimes you have to adapt on the fly. You have to pivot. So that's definitely some things that you would need in your arsenal whenever you're trying to start something new like this.
Well, I just picked up that sapphire gem you just dropped, and adept at adapting.
Yes.
That's important. Flexibility is the key, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't stretch, so they may not have
Right.
that flexibility.
Right. And I'm learning that in this industry. But yeah, you definitely have to be adept at adapting, definitely have to know who you are in terms of knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses. Because if you don't know your strengths or weaknesses, how are you going to be able to get help when you need it? Okay, so you definitely have to know who you are when it comes to that, and definitely know how to pivot when it's time to pivot.
Yeah, so I do a lot of events across the country, and a lot of organizations, a lot of different aspects of this business. But you're absolutely right. I see we got a question there from Satin. I'll get to that in just a second. It says, in cannabis, you definitely know how to be adept at adapting. Absolutely. Satin is amazing. She knows firsthand what this industry does, how this industry works. She's up in the Boston market, so I'll definitely make sure we connect you up there with her. So we've got Ray Gathers in there. She is owner and founder of Beauty and the Leaf, a brand that is launching later this year, and she's also the owner and founder of the Social Light Society. So we definitely appreciate those who are tuning in, and I want to double down on what you just said. Oftentimes we hear people say piggyback. I don't eat pork, and so I hate when people piggybacking, because a pig don't want you on his back. It don't even, the pig get you off his back. But I do want to double down on something you said. Having that plan and planning for everything to go right. The average person, when they have a thought, an idea, a plan, whether it's a party, a meal, or an event, in your head, when you go over the plan, everything went right. Most people only plan for it to go right. I actually am the exact opposite. So people ask me, how are you so quick at thinking of solutions and things? I spent almost a decade as an active paramedic. No one ever calls a paramedic when things go right. You only call a paramedic when things went wrong, when you didn't stick the landing on the dirt bike. And so my life has been set up to where I'm only responding to the problems. So when people propose things, especially in consulting, hey, I want to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Sometimes they're like, why are you so negative? I'm not being negative. I'm not being an antagonist. It's just that these are things that you haven't thought of. You got the brick and mortar location. You got your license. You got your permit. You got your lease. But you didn't think of what was going to be your emergency disaster recovery plan. You didn't think that a natural disaster was going to come up. A tornado came through, damaged your facility, and according to your state, you have a 12-hour disaster recovery plan, which means every one of your systems and processes needs to be back up and running at an efficient rate within 12 hours. So hope for the best, but plan for the worst.
Right.
You can
Exactly.
think of it bad, it can happen. Whether it's servers going down. I saw a video on Facebook recently, a little bit further out west than yourself, to where I think it was 7 or 8 armed individuals went to break into a dispensary at night. The owner of the dispensary got an alert on his phone that his facility was being broken into. The owner turned around because he wasn't far from there, went back to the facility, got into a gunfight with the robbers, and now he's facing charges for protecting his
Goodness.
facility. Yeah, so there's a lot that's happening, y'all. It's all about planning, execution, but one of the things that I like to tell you is about collaborations. So before we get out of here, Miss Monique, is there anything else that you'd like to leave our viewers with, our listeners with, any words of wisdom, any gems, and also let them know how they can follow you, how they can support you, and how they can come out and support Kemistry Farms?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under the same handle, Kemistry Farms, chemistry with a K. We also have a website, chemistryfarms.com. And we actually do. I recently formulated a new CBD cream. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's a 5,000 milligram pain cream. That's available on the website right now as I speak, and it works really well. And so, yeah, in the future, I hope to collab with others for sure. I'm about to collab with a great marketer, so you will see Chemistry Farms. We're going to be out there a little bit more. You'll see our logo here and there. And I am coming up with a new product that I hope to roll out. I'm hoping to roll it out by this summer. So we'll see how
Okay.
that goes. So just,
Well,
stay tuned.
I'll definitely stay tuned, and I would love to collaborate with you on some patient and product education. And I see that we do have a question here from Mr. Ingram. He is a cultivator that I've actually met that does a great job. And he asks, what strains are you growing? And do you plan on developing your own genetics? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? I know that's a layered question, but if you could give
Mhm.
us the best you can at responding to that question from Mr. Ingram.
Okay, I'll think about the strains we're growing right now because every time someone asks me, they just bloop out of my head. But we do have Sherb 98 right now that we're growing. We have some slurricane, some sour strawberry, and I want to say 2 more I can't think of right now. As far as developing my own genetics, I would love to do that. But right now we just don't have the time or the space to actually do that. I would definitely have to collab with someone to make my own genetics, but that's something, I'm interested in for sure. And in the next 5 years, I hope that Chemistry Farms is a big brand name. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get our brand out there and also develop products. I would love to kind of merge the cannabis and pharmaceutical industry together. So hopefully in the next 5 years, I would have been formulated some more products to actually help people and not just help people get high. So that's where I see Chemistry Farms going.
Thank you for that. And I do have one more question before we get that ties into that. As a grower, as a owner, as an operator, are you open to collaborating with other cultivators, other brands, and are you interested in growing your strains for brands in your state? So let's just say if I have a client who says, "Hey, I'm in Oklahoma. I want to start a brand. I need a grower. I need somebody to help get me from seed to shelf." Is that something that Chemistry Farms will be open to or that will entertain?
Yeah, see, we're open to anything, any and everything. I love collaborating. I know how important it is to actually collaborate with people and not be a gatekeeper of anything. So I'm definitely open to any and everything that comes my way. As long as it makes sense, as long as it's feasible, I'm all for it.
Well, definitely. So again, ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, Miss Monique Robinson really came in today and she gave you not just a logo in the background, but they put a face behind the brand. I feel that in this industry, making your brand relatable, making your brand personable, but also making your brand believable is what truly sets companies apart from each other. I'm sure Monique has seen brands with the greatest marketing, the greatest, labeling, but there's no personality. There's no passion behind the brand. So if you're in Oklahoma, if you're in the surrounding areas and near Okmulgee, please be sure to tap into Kemistry Farms. Make sure to follow them on all social media platforms, and that is at Kemistry Farms. And that is KEMISTRY Farms, FARMS. And is there any other closing words of wisdom you'd like to leave viewers or listeners for this event, for this episode?
Happy smoking out there, happy smoking. And don't just be smoking to get high, kind of, I would love for guys to just, test certain strains out. Get you a sativa if you're an indica person. If all you do is smoke indica, get you a sativa. If you're a sativa person, make sure you smoke you an indica at night to lay down and relax yourself. Okay, and just remember the brand, Kemistry Farms, whenever you see us, please.
All right, well, before spring something kicks off, I'm gonna need me like a Kemistry Farms t-shirt or like a hoodie or something. I got my pen. I like the purple is my color.
Okay, yeah. Send me your address and I'll send you some stuff, and I'll send you some of our cream as well.
Oh, please do. And what I will also do is take some out of it and put together a couple of samples, because I do.
Oh, that's right. I can send you some sample jars too. We have sample sizes that I do. This is what I pass out to people for free. So I'll send you some of these as well.
Well, we're going to give one to my mother because she's had several orthopedic surgeries. And I want to send a special shout out to Mom. I love you, Mother. Today is her birthday. And I got to sing you happy birthday, Mom. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you. We love you, Mom. Happy birthday. I asked her how old she is now, and she said she is 35 and holding. So happy 35th
Okay, I love it.
Yeah,
yes, I love anybody whose birthday is in January. Mine is at the end of this month. So happy birthday.
I know everybody couldn't be a Virgo. It's okay. We had to divide it.
Oh, no, but everybody want to be an Aquarius. That's the thing. So it's all right.
Oh, and I gotta leave here with this closing comment for you. I like to get to know people outside of just talking business. All right. So if you can pick one side item, you got a burger, you got a burrito, anything of that nature, wings, would you rather have French fries or guacamole?
Oh, give me some French fries. Don't nobody want a guacamole.
Ooh, speak for yourself. Guac me up, girl.
For you need a crunchiness. Are you gonna have some chips with the guac?
Chips.
Okay, now if you give me some chips, then yeah, I can do the guac. But still, I'm a potato girl.
Well, my best friend owns one of the fastest growing guacamole companies. He actually took home first place in the national guacamole competition last year in San Diego. He has a company called Nothing But Guac. And let's see if we can put some things together where at some point this year we can do an event and maybe even bring him out there as a part of community education, some giveaways, really help increase your brand visibility and impact in Oklahoma, but not just in Okmulgee, but the surrounding areas. So again, I want to say thank you, Ms. This has been Ms. Monique Robinson from Kemistry Farms, based out of Oklahoma. It's no good as a non-guac eater. Yeah, she's had the guacamole. She's like, it's so good. Because most people, I'll tag you on his page. What he does is he goes around, he asks people to try guacamole. Most of them say they don't like it, they hate it. He's got a 99% success rate, and he makes everything's vegan, everything's from scratch, even his chips. So,
nice.
We got a brother out here slanging avocados. So again, everyone, this has been the January edition of Sow the Land, brought to you by Minorities for Medical Marijuana. This month, we took a little bit different approach and brought in someone from the cannabis side who is also interested in potentially growing hemp. If you would like to be a guest on Sow the Land, please reach out to us. I can be reached at Stanley@m4mmunited.org. Be sure to follow Minorities for Medical Marijuana on all social media platforms. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. I'm pretty sure we're on X. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to us either by email or by reach out to any of our pages. If you have any announcements, upcoming events, shoot them over to me and we'll be sure to try to share those out. And again, this has been Sow the Land 2024. Stay tuned because we have our upcoming symposium this summer. We're locking down the venue as we speak, and I will be sure to let everyone know ahead of time. But again, this has been Sow the Land. I am Stanley Atkins II, your National Director of Hemp Farming Technology, signing off for Minorities of Medical Marijuana. Thank you all.
Thank you. Do I sign it?